Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Strategy Game podcast. I am your host, Lauren Shippey, and I'm so excited to welcome Jen Fonseca to the podcast today. Jen, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you. It's my honor and pleasure.
We are so excited to have her. She's been such a large part of the community at Palm Beach Women's Network, which is a local organization that I co-lead here in this area, and just been a really great contributor and thought leader in our area. And so, Jen, I wanted to take some time to talk about, it's part of your purpose and your identity, but really talking about people finding their true purpose and walking in it. I know that's something that you talk a lot about and work with a lot of people in regards to that. And then talking about just hope right now. You've developed a brand new workshop on hope and cultivating hope. And if we need one thing right now, I would say that hope would be it. So I am still looking forward to this episode. But I love to start every episode with just people's stories and where they come from, because we talk about identity-based strategy at Storywork, and that leads to a lot of people's actual branding and marketing and how they do what they do, and it's all connected. So how did you get to where you are today? And tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Sure. So one of the things that I like to say is, like, between God's purpose in one's life and the palace is the process, but it never looks very linear. It's got a lot of twists and turns and sometimes some very hard lefts. And so mine kind of looks a little bit like that. But then even as like a career coach, when I talk with people or when I look at my own career journey, I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Like all these different things, like you can connect the dots and kind of make sense of it. So when I went to university, I went to a medium-sized state school. I never changed my major. I went in with a journalism, public relations major and a creative writing minor. So I always knew I loved to communicate. I really enjoyed speaking in front of people. I enjoyed reading and writing, things like that. But when I graduated, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. So I did what every person does when they graduate. I became a coffee barista.
Perfect.
But one of the things that my mom did for me is, my mom is like, you need to get a real full-time job, not just be a coffee barista. I really loved being a coffee barista though. It's kind of like being a bartender, just with coffee, and you get to be around people and drink coffee all day, right?
Yes.
But I knew I needed to get a full-time job. So my mom gave me a book. It's an old school book, but it is still in circulation, even though the author has passed. And it's called What Color is Your Parachute? And it had all these little exercises. Like it was like a flower that had little petals. And so like one petal was, where in the world do you want to live? Like, what's the climate look like? What's the geography look like? What size company do you want to work for? What salary do you want to make? What skills do you want to use? So it's all these things about who one is. Mm-hmm. Now at the time I'm like, okay, well, this is good, like trying to understand myself. And what I realized is I missed college life and I love the university setting. So I went and did informational interviewing with an admissions counselor at a university near me, not the one I attended, a different one, and a dean of students. And everything they said they did, I'm like, that sounds like a dream. So all I knew was my next step was to go to graduate school, because in order to work at a university, I needed to get a degree in higher education administration. So I did that. And then my first full-time professional job got me moving from Ohio to Florida, where I worked at Palm Beach Atlantic University, your alma mater.
Alma mater, love it.
And I worked in residence life for 5 years. And then I did academic advising for another 5. And I really loved working with a college-age student. But still, some things weren't quite sitting right. So then, like, my twists and turns included things like I did some freelance work helping people write resumes because I was good at writing. And they were getting really good jobs. It's like way higher paying jobs than what I was getting paid. And I thought, maybe there's something to this. And then I worked for a professional golfer, actually, like a world famous professional golfer for 3 years as for his private nonprofit. And then I'm like, I kind of miss the university life. So I came back to Palm Beach Atlantic. and worked in career development. And simultaneously, I started my own career coaching business. So I do both concurrently because I figured out I love college students. I love to communicate. I love helping people figure out who they are. So just like my mom, tying it back, gave me a resource and book that helped me to identify who I was, my skills, my values, like what I was passionate about, what gave me juice and energy. I'm like, oh, wait, I could do this for other people, and that fulfills me. So me figuring out who I am then now helps me to empower other people to figure out who they are and to go pursue being themselves more authentically in whatever line of work that fits who they are.
Wow, I love that.
That's kind of how.
I love that. There are so many threads there, but the coolest thread is like, we've all had this moment. So I'd love for our listeners to really think through, what were those defining moments for you? Like when your mom gave you that book, what color is your parachute? I'm going to link to that in the show notes. I got to look that one up.
You should, Richard Bowles.
Really cool. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to link to it. And just the process of you going through that and how you starting to walk in your purpose now impacts so many others walking in their purpose. And so the chain reaction there just reminds me so much of how important it is for us to stay in tune with our purpose or our calling, right, in life. And so, and there are so many things these days that can distract us from doing that. And so I find myself on a regular basis asking myself, what is distracting me from doing the work or doing the work that I know I need to be doing? And what do I need to clear out of the way to make sure that I'm staying in that lane, right? So I know that you talk a lot about, and I don't want to take the line. You have a line, I'm going to let you share it. The tagline, you know what I'm talking about. And can you tell us a little bit about the workshops that you give and some of the work that you do? And you actually hosted a group in the spring for Palm Beach Women's Network on this. So can you tell us about that?
Yep. So I have a little phrase called who before do, because who you are comes before what you do. And there's a author, professor, theologian who says, you know, that before I can tell my life what to do with it, I must first listen to my life telling me who I am. And so it's really clear. Even you, like we talked about the word purpose, Lauren. You know, there's another book that I've read called The Zookeeper's Secret. In it, they talk about how like purpose is not chosen by you or me. It's revealed to us, you know, whether it's through, you know, testing out like little experiments to figure out, like, do I like doing this kind of business? Do I like doing this? What, like talking with people, like however somebody kind of, I call it career test driving, right? It's one of those things where like it becomes revealed to us because either people start affirming our gifts or our talents or our skills, or we do things we're like, man, I really light up and I lose track of time, energy, and flow. So who you are should come before what you do. And so doing things that help to identify like, who are you? And I look at 5 key areas, and maybe we can get into that.
No, yes, keep going, please. Yes.
Oh, you will? Okay.
Yeah.
So the 5 key areas that I look at for an individual, it's slightly different if somebody is looking at it in terms of like running their own business, like a founder of a business. But the who you are for an individual is, what are you passionate about? What gives you energy or juice? What's your purpose? Because your purpose isn't just about you, it's who benefits from it, right? So it's for the common good. Like what we do needs to benefit the product or service or whatever, should benefit other people. So your passion, your purpose, your personality. So those are, you know, your preferences, your quirks. So you look at things like the Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, DISC, any of those kinds of things. Your proficiencies, which are your, I love to do them, and I am good at them also. So there are things that we're good at, but we don't love, but a motivated skill or proficiency is you love doing it and you're good at doing it. And then the last area is what I call profit centers. So there's 5 Ps, but the profit centers has less to do about money and more like, what would you exchange for money? So what are your values, your core values of who you are that you will not violate for whatever reason? And so for a person, you do that. It's similar in a way for like a founder of a business, like, because they can look at what's their value proposition of who their organization is, or what are their core values for their business, that, and how does that interface with the customer experience? How is that communicated?
Yeah.
So I think even on the organizational level, there's a who, or almost like a personality of the business that comes before the do, the product or service that's a result of who the organization is.
Yes, that is so good. So good on so many levels. And I love that you tied it back to that, to the business sense, because it is all connected. And I think that's why in our strategy work with companies, we start with user personas. So we start with who they serve. And if they truly know and see and hear those people first, and know how to reach them, and their offerings and their experience, right, is all around identity in a sense, right? And so what you're doing is helping so many people really discover their who before do. Any stories that come to mind? I mean, I know you've had so many awesome stories over the years of people really discovering their passion and what fuels them and going and doing that. But anything that comes to mind that would be cool to share?
Yeah, so I think of one of the clients that I worked with, who probably fits like the listener demographic a little bit better. He was a career changer. And I did, normally what I do is I kind of go through the 5 key areas when I work with someone to help them figure out what to pivot into. And so we did a career assessment, and then I asked a whole series of career coaching questions to find out more about who he was. And what was really interesting, so he had a long, very like a 20-year career in like data analytics, really good at like Excel charts and understanding, picking apart data. So he had this like analytical mind, but this other part of him was so fascinating. He told me stories when I'd ask him questions like, tell me a time in your life when you felt most alive. I would ask questions like, what were hobbies that you had starting as early as you can remember in your life up through now? And so the themes that kept coming up with all these questions were adventure. He was generally outside. He told me a story about how, like, as a kid, his parents would let him go off. He lived in California, like go off, get on a sail, like go on the family sailboat and like just take it out.
That's amazing.
And then I think he like entered a regatta with he and a couple of friends when he was like in middle school, high school. And so it wasn't really surprising when he said he wanted to get his pilot's license and he wanted to be a pilot. And so it was really interesting that you have this like analytical brain, but there are these other pieces of his life that hadn't quite been satisfied, that were more adventurous in nature, and trying to help him figure out like, how can we put these things together? Where's the convergence zone of that? In order to find something that would be a really good fit. And he actually called me. So I worked with him probably 2 years ago or so, and he always keeps in touch. And he was going to teach flying lessons to other individuals. There was something with, I don't know if it was a site or something that prevented him from actually being like a commercial pilot.
Okay.
But he still has that, the pilot's license to be able to like teach other people how to fly. But he applied for a job that is a good connection point between doing something kind of physical. He actually went back to school to get a certification, and he got hired by a company that allows him to use his data analytics skills, but it also allows him to do something more physically, manually, and kinesthetically, which totally fits with who he is and connecting that adventuresome side.
Yes.
So yeah,
that's amazing.
super fun.
I love that. What a great example, because he was operating in this space of doing the same thing every day, probably the monotony, and thought, gosh, there must be something more. And what you did was draw that out through a series of questions and looking at his life. A lot of times it comes back from who we are, right? I've looked back at that from my journey as a kid. I know you're going to be shocked. My number one question was why. I asked why with every single thing that I did. And it makes sense, right? Because strategy is all about asking why all the time and then translating it, right?
Yes, it's perfect.
There's
I'll
a-
tell you, I would just want to throw this in for your listeners too, is I'm working with a client right now. And I highly, highly recommend. So like out of my 5 Ps, personality is one of them, and proficiencies. And this assessment connects on both. Have you ever taken Clifton Strengths? It used to be called Gallup Strengths, Clifton Strengths.
Oh, okay. Gallup, maybe a long time ago, but I'm going to have to check it out again. It's really good.
Okay.
I have to link
I
to it.
highly recommend it. So
Okay.
you can pick one of 2 reports. One just gives you your top 5 strengths. The
Okay.
other one gives you all 34. But what I really love about it is like, who we are is who we are, and we're naturally gifted at things. And sometimes because when we're naturally gifted at something, it comes so easily and seamlessly to us that we just assume everybody can do it. Like I don't, when I go grocery shopping, Lauren, I have no strategy. I just want to go up and down every aisle. Like I have zero strategic skills. Like it's
And
very
I definitely have an organized list, right? Of it.
You do. And so, especially for your listeners, why I think that this is so crucial is because when you look at founders of companies or smaller organizations, I want to make a comparison to like real estate development. And I'm stealing this, borrowing it from my friend Ryan Walden, who operates out of 1909, which is a local co-working space in West Palm Beach.
Awesome.
So he has kind of a white paper that talks about this, but it's like, so in real estate development, you've got like the developer, the architect, you've got the people who work with the loaning and licensing, you've got the plumber, the electrician, all these specialty fields. Okay, so you've got that. That's a great model. But when we're founders of companies, of a product or service, we're like, oh, I can do all these things. I will be the electrician. I will be the plumber. I will be the zoning license person. I will, so we do marketing, we do all these things. And the problem is we are not gifted at all these things.
Yeah,
so I'm not gifted at strategy. And what would take me 3 hours or 3 days to do, Lauren, I know you could do it in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So why not like swap, find people that you can kind of barter with and allow our skill set to complement one another. And founders don't do that very well. They think I just have to wear all the hats, even if it takes me 10 times longer. And Gallup Strengths helps to identify what your strengths are so that you can look at, okay, I'm going to stay in my wheelhouse because I am going to be efficient at it and good at it. And then I find somebody else who can do the things that I can't.
Yes.
And partner with them.
So,
and then it's like,
building teams, partnerships, crucial. That's a great starting point for people listening today. I'll definitely link to that. In the
Clifton Strengths, it's amazing.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, a good reminder. I haven't done that in a really long time. I've taken the Enneagram fairly recently, which is super helpful. But I think it would also be such a nice compliment to have a list of specific strengths and then be able to talk that over in a team setting too and say, okay, where and how do we balance each other out? What are we missing in our team too?
Right.
We need to fill in as we're hiring and looking for new people.
Yeah, so let me share one quick story because I'm working with a client right now who she's taken the Clifton Strengths 4 times. It's a valid and reliable assessment, which means that she keeps taking it thinking something different is going to come up. And out of the time she's taken it, she's got like 3 or 4 strengths that consistently come up like 3 to 4 times. Like every time they come up, she is who she is. And what's interesting is she had a very, very successful financial career, working at Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, like super successful. But when you look at her strengths, like they're very relationally built. So developer, which is like really helping someone to come into their own, understanding who they are. She's got another one, which is restorative. That's one of my strengths. And it's like either looking at a process or an individual and going, how can we find the broken parts and fix it? How can we restore this into full order process? And so what's interesting is, a very high capacity individual. And she's like, this financial stuff doesn't quite fit anymore. Like I was super successful in it. She made it work. But when you look at her strengths, it's like, I can see so many other things that might be a better fit for her based off of who she is, how she's designed, what she's naturally gifted at.
Yes.
And she actually participated in the purpose study
Awesome.
that I led this past spring. And, you know, I think she was doing it because she's trying to figure out, okay, what is my purpose? Like, where am I gifted and how do I utilize, where can I best utilize the skills so that I'm delighting in what I'm doing? Because career satisfaction doesn't come from what you do.
Yeah.
It comes from who you get to be when you're doing it.
So good.
So for this, yeah. So this particular person, like who she is, who she wants to be is somebody who develops other people, someone who can be, she has like a super gift of encouragement. I mean, she doesn't like the term cheerleader because she's super intelligent and the connotation with what a cheerleader is doesn't resonate with her, but like leadership, coaching, consulting, like all those kinds of things, I think are a realm of exploration for her to figure out what's the next season in my career life that would give her, you know, allow her to be who she truly is.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that, Jen. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for everybody to hear this. It's so helpful. Okay. So in case you're now questioning your career or just entire life after listening to this, because it's really good and thought-provoking, we will link to Jen's contact info in the show notes for you. I want to shift gears a little bit to talk about hope, because I think for some of us out there, probably most of us, this past couple of years has been quite a wild ride. We have a lot of daily stress or pressures that are weighing on us. And I think more than ever, we've got to be really intentional about how we spend our time, what we take in, our inputs, and just really stay focused in this season. And so I'd love to hear from you just a preview of just how we might be able to cultivate some hope right now.
Sure. Well, I'll tell you, I did a Zoom presentation for a state association that I'm a part of, and we only had 1 hour, but we were able to make it interactive and talking about hope. So when I was doing research on hope, I found this amazing resource. It's a book. It might only be an ebook at this point. I don't know if it's published, but it was about cultivating hope. And what the researchers found, it was an attorney and then a PhD professor of social work, is that hope is both measurable and malleable. So you can actually scientifically measure the level of hope that one has, and it's also malleable. So it can shift and change. It can ebb and flow depending on where someone is. And you only need 3 things to increase hope. The first one is goals. So having someone like Lauren, who's strategic, to help you come up with strategic goals for your business, is literally one of the 3 legs of cultivating hope. If you can't see what the goals are and they're not realistic and that you can actually measure and meet them, that causes your hope to go down. The second is way power. And then the third is willpower. So way power is having the path and the ability to get there, and willpower is the determination and grit to do it. So you have to have those 3 things to increase your level of hope. And they've done studies where they've found, like, I don't remember the name of it, but there is a program in New York City that is designed for underprivileged kids to go through like this high school program to get them to enroll and matriculate in college. So they're on a even playing field of not having resources or anything, but they're all given an opportunity. And what they found is, even though the program could be successful, if the students didn't have high levels of hope, they didn't have a goal to go to college, they couldn't see the path of even how to get there, and they didn't have the willpower to do it, it didn't matter how great the program was, they weren't going to matriculate to college. And so they've done studies with people who have endured extreme trauma, whether it's physical or sexual abuse, or, you know, whatever psychological kind of trauma as a child. You just need those 3 things. This is why people become resilient. They have goals that they can set, they see how to get there, and they are willing to do what it takes to get there.
Wow.
So
And I can see this being directly linked to who before do. So this is all tying together so well, because if people are able to really think back on the themes throughout their life and really operate in their purpose, then they're able to set goals and develop the way and the willpower to accomplish them, right? I mean, that would be directly
yes.
connected. That's
Yes, and even going to like when we talk about Clifton strengths, it's like those strengths which come natural, those natural abilities. What we learn to do is, how do I leverage my strength to overcome the obstacle, to give me the way power to meet my goal? Or how do I leverage somebody else's strength to help me to meet that goal? So when we know those things about who we are and we operate within our areas of strength or leverage somebody else's strength, it helps increase in those three areas to increase our hope.
that all makes so much sense. Okay, that's so good. Okay. Okay, so as we wrap up here, can you think of one thing that people could do to reactivate their hope today? I know I threw you a curve. I'll give you a minute to think, but if they had
I
to
know, that's a
take away
great
one
question.
thing, if they're feeling discouraged or really
Yeah.
down on hope right now, what's one
Well,
thing?
maybe I'll give maybe sort of three things in
Sure.
a way, like quick, whichever works for somebody.
That's perfect.
So one thing I think that is helpful is I love asking the question, when in your life did you feel most alive? Like in your entire life, when in your life did you feel most alive? Because that's usually a sign or an indicator of a strength, of something where your natural ability or, when you are the happiest kind of a thing, like those kinds of things are usually indicators, which kind of ties with the second thing, which is, just identifying, what is that strength? Like, or going back to the place where you either last felt that great feeling. Like if I'm in a lump, a slump or a dump or something, like if I go back to the last place where I felt a sense of joy or hope, it's like, can I recreate that feeling by kind of putting myself in that moment?
Yeah.
And then going, what was it about that helped me? So I would, when in your life did you feel most alive?
Yep.
Go back to the last time you felt that sense of hope or joy or passion or purpose, and like dig around in that memory. And then the third would be, for the goal-oriented people who love setting goals, it might be like, pick one goal. Like, what's one goal that is both realistic and accomplishable, and then set your sight towards that, because that'll help move the scale towards increasing hope. And for some people, that might be like, just getting up in the morning or getting up 15 minutes earlier. It might be, okay, I'm not going to have a perfect diet. I know I need to exercise, but I will walk for 10 minutes. Like, don't pick a goal. Like, you're not going to walk for an hour. I'm probably not going to walk for an hour, but I can walk for 10 minutes on my lunch break. Like,
Yep.
That's a reasonable goal, because once I meet that, then it's easier to go to 15 minutes, which then can go to 20 minutes, which, gets me to the 1 hour. But be reasonable with yourself. And that's one of the things that I did kind of when I was going through your mastermind, is like, like picking a habit that worked. And for me, it was getting up early, because I would get up and I'm like, I'm gonna get up at 5 a.m. But I never got up at 5 a.m. because it was just way too much of a shift from 6 a.m. But
Yeah.
when I went to 5:30, I got up, I got online, I went through the mastermind program, and that was doable. But I didn't like beat myself for not getting up at 5 a.m. But I was able to get to 5 a.m. once I kind of set some incremental goals that were realistic.
Yes, those are so good. Good 3 tips for you all to walk away with. So Jen, thank you so much for your time. So grateful to have you on today. And we're going to drop all those links in the show notes for you.
Awesome. Thank you so